I'm Darren Johnson, I'm a Green Party member of the London Assembly, and in this film I'm looking at why air pollution is such a huge issue for the capital and why London is potentially facing a £300 million fine because of air pollution. Now, ever since I got elected to the Assembly back in 2000, air pollution has been a real concern of mine, and the big questions I'm asking in this film is what measures do we need to do to get the problem under control, and are the Mayor and the government actually doing enough? In the past, London's pollution was mostly caused by coal fires and industry. Parliament passed the Clean Air Act of 1956, which helped put an end to the big P super fogs which covered London and the south east. But the rapid growth in traffic on our roads brought a new invisible killer. In the last decade, we've had initiatives like the congestion charge and the expansion in public transport, which have helped reduce traffic in London. European rules also mean that new cars and lorries are far less polluting than they were 10 years ago. Things have improved, but unfortunately not fast enough. We may not be able to see the problem anymore, but it's still there and it's still massive. The reason air pollution has still remained such a big problem for London is because of years of complacency at all levels of government. Now, we can't blame the current Mayor and the current government for everything, but both are doing things which are actually causing more problems rather than solving them. The current Mayor, however, did commission a report which estimated that the equivalent of 4,267 deaths in 2008 were attributable to long-term air pollution. This report is a welcome step in making clear the full scale of London's invisible killer. 4,267 is more than the number of gravestones you can see here. It's estimated that the NHS is spending a staggering £2 billion each year treating people who become ill due to air pollution. That's a huge amount. That could pay for 11,000 fully equipped ambulances. So wouldn't it be better if we invested some of the money that's currently being spent on trying to tackle illness in actually preventing the problem in the first place? Prevention is always better than cure. The Mayor has a legal duty to have a strategy to deal with the problem of air pollution in the capital. Now, there are some good measures on the table. Boris Johnson kept the 2007 commitment by the previous Mayor that all new buses should be hybrids by 2012, which cuts down on emissions by nearly a third. We're seeing plans implemented now that were drawn up a number of years ago by the previous Mayor for cycle hire schemes and cycling superhighways. However, there are real problems. Budget cuts mean that less is being done this year on smarter travel and car clubs. A lack of money also looks likely to hit the Mayor's expansion plans for electric vehicles and charging points in London. The Mayor's failing to fit pollution reduction devices to most of the old construction machinery in London, including that being used on the Olympic site. And his measures aimed at smoothing traffic flow could well actually lead to an increase in traffic. However, by far the biggest backward steps are the abolition of the western extension of the congestion charge, which the Mayor himself believes will lead to an increase of 30,000 vehicles a day in the area, and the Mayor's delay of stage 3 of the low emissions zone by 2 years. This aims to tackle 6,000 of the most polluting vans in London, but there's been an unnecessary 2-year delay. Now, that contraption I've just been looking at there is one of the air quality monitoring stations in London, which could be providing the evidence which might put London in the dock in the European Court for failing to do enough to tackle air pollution here in the capital. The Mayor is saying he's confident that enough measures will be put in place to tackle the problem so it won't come to a fine. But he is also looking at emergency measures just in case it reaches crisis point. So he's looking at hosing down streets near the air quality monitoring stations, closing certain main roads on bad air days and so on. But I say, rather than look at short-term quick fixes when things reach crisis point. Wouldn't it be better to put in place the serious policies now to tackle air pollution in the capital? One of the biggest hurdles the Mayor faces in terms of his air quality plans is, will he actually get the funding from the government to pay for his policies? He needs money for his vehicle scrappage scheme, which would replace the most polluting vans and cars in the capital and allow those to be replaced. He's wanting money to invest in electric vehicles in London. All this costs money. His environment advisor estimated it could be as high as £200 million to pay for all the policies outlined in his strategy. But another big question at a time of cuts is, will the government be keen to or willing to give that sort of money over? And an even bigger question is, should the Mayor be scrapping the western extension of the congestion charge? That's been bringing in around £55 million each year, which has helped pay for public transport improvements and anti-pollution measures. If that goes, that's an extra £55 million loss, which could be spent on improving air pollution in the capital. There's so much that's great about living in London, but if only we could get the air pollution problem sorted, life in London would be so much better. If you have any ideas about how the Mayor should improve air quality in the capital, then write to me at the address below.